guys, Gannon here, back with another Star Trek Lower Decks review. This time we're doing another 2-for-1, just because that's kind of how I feel about Star Trek Lower Decks, and like I said, I might do multiple ones for the final episodes, depending on how they line up. But for now, today we are going to be reviewing episodes 6 and 7 of Lower Decks, named Terminal Provocations, and then also Much Ado About Boimler, which is a little play on William Shakespeare's Much Ado About Nothing, which I believe I read in like the 7th or 8th grade. But anyways, right behind us we have a very low res, but kind of pretty picture of Bajor, because in episode 6, Terminal Provocations, Tendi and Rutherford spend their time hilariously on the holodeck, and they visit Bajor in attempt to run away from this glitched holodeck program named Badgie that Rutherford programs, and he intends to show Tendi and uses as a tool to help her learn how to spacewalk, because Tendi says that she never learned how to spacewalk at Starfleet Academy. Guys, I'm actually kind of happy to review these episodes. As you know, I've kind of been a little bit critical of Star Trek Lower Decks. It hasn't really been too much of my cup of tea. I kind of have a little bit of a different vibe from episodes 6 and 7. For one thing, they were funny. Like, there were some parts where I actually, like, kind of laughed a lot, and I'll get to that here in a second, what those parts were, but I laughed. And another thing is that we're no longer being introduced to the main cast. It's kind of like they're present, and while it wasn't really doing much for me and I was being a little bit critical for the first 5 episodes, the show really didn't have its identity then, and I feel like now that we're at episodes 6 and 7, that the show really has its own true identity. These characters have little traits about them that are repetitive. Kind of learn new stuff about them every episode too. So it's getting better, for sure. Is it great? Is it like, you know, really good, fun Star Trek? No, but it's not at the point where I'm going to go over here and really shit on it anymore, at least with these 2 episodes. If they continue at the rate they're going and just kind of getting a little bit better and goofier every episode, then yeah, I think Star Trek Lower Decks is actually going to be a fine part of the Star Trek universe. You know, I actually really doubt that this show is in any way canon to the Prime universe. Like, I doubt Mariner, Boimler, and any of these characters actually exist in the Prime universe. I mean, they could say that they do, but the way it's really looking out, it doesn't feel that way, because it seems like everybody in the show is just acting goofy and everything, and that's not really representative of Starfleet or the Star Trek universe. And oh my god, dude, my tortoise is scraping against his cage, so if you could hear that, I'm sorry. Episode 6, Terminal Provocations, was actually hilarious, okay? Basically, the shtick of this episode is, you know, usually there's the Tendi and Rutherford side, and like I already said, they went to the holodeck program and interacted with Rutherford's program named Badgie, who, due to like ship systems failures and glitches, kind of went on a fucking murder spree and actually killed people on the holodeck, and it was just like really gruesome and awesome and super funny that they had Badgie as a character. I was just dying at Badgie the whole time. It was really good. What can I say? I really liked Badgie. But then you have the Mariner and Boimler train, and in this episode it seemed like it wasn't the, okay, we're gonna pick on Boimler episode. They did that a couple times in the first few episodes, and it was already like getting old. Like, okay, we get it, we're gonna like pick on Boimler and everything. But I'm happy this episode I really just saw Mariner and Boimler getting along and kind of facing a common foe, Ensign Fletcher, who I'm pretty sure is an engineer. And it all started when they basically gave Fletcher a responsibility so that they could go off and watch this space concert. Instead of actually doing the responsibility, since Fletcher's kind of an idiot, he put himself into like a computer core full of isolinear chips, I believe, and the computer core then became sentient and started attacking the ship. Fletcher was just being kind of an asshole the whole time. And that is a brief synopsis of the episode. Oh, and then also on the command side of things, this is like my favorite bit. We were introduced to the Drukmani in this episode, and these particular Drukmani, I don't know if it's like the whole race, like there was that Voyager race I forget the name of, but they were like a race of trash collectors. But the Drukmani, this particular group of them, were a bunch of like scavengers getting space drunk, and they were trying to get hold on some Federation junk, basically, that has been drifting there over 100 years. And obviously Captain Freeman cannot allow that, and they just had a bunch of hilarious interactions between Captain Freeman and Lieutenant Shax. He was like, oh, I say we shoot them, Captain. He's like, please let me shoot their warp core, please. And Lieutenant Shax was just being absolutely hilarious. They dropped some very fucking, like, appropriate and hilarious F-bombs. Captain Freeman looks to the Drukmani. He's like, there must be some way that we could solve this peacefully and diplomatically. And he's just like, fuck you! And then he turns off the transmission. Dude, I was dying. I was literally dying when that happened. The comedic timing was just absolutely perfect, and I loved it. And then there was also that time when Mariner backed up into Dr. Tiana and basically, like, pushed her into a plate of nachos, which was hilarious. She's like, fuck! Do you know how hard it is to get nachos out of fur in a sonic shower? Very funny episode, guys. Some of my favorite references in this video included when Tendi and Rutherford were actually out floating in space, because this was clearly a reference to that Voyager episode, Day of Honor, where B'Elanna Torres and Tom actually admit their feelings for each other, and then after that they become like boyfriend and girlfriend. So this is definitely alluding to the fact that Rutherford and Tendi are going to get together at some point, and also Rutherford, I think, just straight out says that Tendi is cute in this episode. And then on top of that, Mariner holds the key to the captain's yacht. And that's actually like a really cool reference that I respect, because you kind of have to be a little bit of a Trekkie to know that there is a captain's yacht on, well, at least the Enterprise D there was, but there's a captain's yacht on a handful of ships, I believe. But the captain's yacht is actually never shown in The Next Generation, but it is spoken about in, like, Star Trek handbooks and dictionaries and stuff like that. The captain's yacht definitely does exist. It is in the official design for the Enterprise D, but it was never seen in, I don't think we've ever seen a actual captain's yacht in any of the shows. I could be wrong, but I don't think we have. But that is a cool reference that they referenced the captain yacht. They also referenced the Sulu maneuver, you know, kind of alluding to Hikaru Sulu. So yeah, Terminal Provocations was really good. It was just a funny episode. I'm going to give it that. I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed Badgie. I'm pretty sure Badgie's voice actor is, like, kind of a pretty known actor. It was really familiar to me. I don't know who did it, but it sounded very familiar. And yep, episode 6 was really good, guys. I'm going to give... It's not really, really good, but it's probably the best one so far. I think I've been giving them straight up, like, 4 5s. I'm going to give episode 6, Terminal Provocations, like a 6.5. I think it earned it. It was actually funny. The characters and the way they interacted in this episode was really just funny and, you know, appealing to me. And so I'm going to give it a well-earned 6.5. I believe that if more episodes of Lower Decks are like episode 6, then Lower Decks is actually going to be a good show. And if we are going to have multiple seasons of Lower Decks, I would like to see more episodes like this. But anyways, getting into episode 7, Much Ado About Boimler. This one was good as well. It was not as good as episode 6, but I cannot diss it. The things that happened in this episode was basically they were getting a temporary captain in the form of Captain Ramsey, who is from another ship. We assume it's a California-class ship because they interacted with another California class ship in this episode called the Rubidoux. I don't know how you say that, but apparently that's also a city or a town in California, which is very fitting for a California class vessel. We can only assume, since Captain Ramsey is interacting with both Captain Freeman and then also she personally knows the captain of the Rubidoux, and it seems like they're kind of close, that she's also in command of a California-class ship. But anyways, Captain Ramsey actually knows Ensign Mariner from all the way from Starfleet Academy. We learned that Ensign Mariner actually used to be, like, top of her class, like, valedictorian, like, got good grades, and that now she's a little bit of a different person and doesn't care about going up in command. And Captain Ramsey is actually there, and Mariner knows this, she's actually there to get Mariner to join her ship. So Mariner kind of acts like a incompetent dum-dum the entire episode in attempts to avoid this. This is the first episode, I think, where Boimler's story arc and Mariner's story arc kind of separate. Boimler gets turned into like a phase ghost this episode in a transporter accident caused by Rutherford, and then that forces him to go aboard this ship owned by Division 14, this kind of elusive and scary medical division that deals with the people who have been affected with weird ailments by freak accidents. The person who comes and picks Boimler up in the Division 14 ship is this almost malicious seeming Edosian, and the Edosians are actually another race. This is another reference to the animated series. This show likes to reference the animated series a lot, and I can only imagine that's because the animated series is the only other animated Star Trek show besides this. I know they did a couple animated short treks, but if you guys ask me, I don't like short treks. I think they're all non-canon. I think you should treat every single short trek just non-canon, and I think they're all kind of trash. So yeah, the person who was flying the Division 14 ship was an Edosian, and he was a good character this episode. He was funny. Just him going off the rails about the mutiny is something that I really enjoyed. And then also in this episode, Tendi created this demon genetically mutated freak dog, and that was a little bit funny. I enjoyed that. It wasn't anything too special. Some of my favorite references in this episode was the fact that the command crew were going on a secret mission to sprout some seeds, and they were wearing the stealth outfits that were in the TNG episode Chain of Command. And then also they did another Chain of Command reference this episode where Mariner says that she really doesn't want to get Jellicoed with the temporary captain assignment. And if you don't know who Captain Jellicoe is, then you really aren't a Trekkie or somebody who watches Star Trek, because man's so fucking iconic. He was the captain that took over command of the Enterprise during the two-parter Chain of Command, and he was kind of an asshole, but he also still wasn't that bad of a captain. He was just kind of a little bit of an asshole. Yeah, Jellicoe is a very, very iconic part of The Next Generation. I'm really happy that they referenced that episode, not just once, but twice in this episode. And another really fun reference was when they actually got onto the Division 14 ship. You see a couple people that were in the Pike chairs, you know, the one that only allows Christopher Pike to basically beep one time for yes or beep 2 times for no, I believe it is. So that was a cool reference, but all in all, this episode wasn't really, like, super great. I mean, just a little bit more of Mariner's obscene obsession with not climbing the ranks. Like, ugh. This character trait is a little bit kind of boring. Like, we get it, Mariner, you don't want to climb the ranks, chain of command, you're really good at what you do, but you're like, no, I don't want to be a lieutenant, no, I don't want to be commander, I don't want to be a captain. But at the same time, like, I get it, I don't fucking care anymore. Like, can we stop? Can we bring a little bit something more to Ensign Mariner's character besides this? This whole time she's trying to avoid leaving the Cerritos and going over to the Oakland with Ramsey, and it's just because, for one thing, she doesn't want to leave the Cerritos, she likes it. But at the same time, she doesn't want to go up in the chain of command and have responsibilities like Ramsey, and I get that, Mariner. We really get it at this point, and it's time to shut the fuck up about it. Like, we get it. It seems like that's actually half your being at this point. So anyways, this episode, I gave the other one a 6.5. I'm going to give this one a 5.5. It's above average. I enjoyed it. It was funny, but I really believe that episode 6 was, you know, the better of the two, and episode 6 is probably the best episode of Star Trek Lower Decks I've seen so far, because episode 6 is really kind of what I'm hoping for from this show, and that's really just how I feel. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please slap a like on it. If you have anything you would like to discuss about Star Trek Lower Decks or Star Trek in general, please leave it down in the comment section below. I will be sure to get back to you, and with that, I'm going to have to see you in the next one. Peace.